right, business owners, it's time to talk about one of the biggest misconceptions when it comes time to scale and expand. The most famous quote we hear of all time, quote, "I gotta work on my systems and procedures," unquote. Many talented people will sell you on a so-called system that will streamline your business and make it more efficient. And while it's absolutely true that better systems and procedures will help, the problem with this singular approach is that you can't separate systems and procedures from the rest of what is going on. And if you do, shit is gonna hit the fan, y'all. And we know how smelly and messy that is, and we don't want it to happen to you. So let's dive in.
Welcome to the Grow Your Business for Good show. This is a place where coaches and consultants gather so you can learn how to lead a world-class business that does not tax your time, your energy, or your financial resources. We are your hosts, Shannon Hernandez
and Amy Hager of the Joyful Business Revolution. And our number one goal is to bring you clarity and insight on how to grow your business for good. Oh, these intros.
Amy loves my intros.
All right. Well, so far you've heard Shannon's amazing intros in this series, but you've also heard about our expand method. And we've taken you through every single part of it. And so for those of you that are on YouTube watching us, we can throw that graphic up so you have that visual. But the expand method starts with E, and we talked about our energetic capacity and understanding the energetic capacity of your business. Then we went into the X, which is your X-ray vision of why small goals don't inspire visionary leaders and CEOs. We've moved on to P for plan and how your revenue could drastically improve by leveraging your marketing and your sales events and diving a little bit deeper into the planning part of things. A for alignment, that is identifying who your brand wants to be when it grows up. N is for numbers. So we forgot about the vanity metrics like likes, comments, like open rates, the shares, and we really dialed into profit for your numbers. And then our last episode was D, around delegate. And when we really think through scale thinking, not necessarily the to-do thinking, of your team and your brand, that's really where you're going to reach those heights that you've never dreamed about. And so we wanted to focus this episode on your systems and your procedures. And there are key parts of systems and procedures in every part of the expand method. So for those of you that see, even though we spell out the word expand, EXPAND, it is all interconnected. The arrows are pointing left and right because you really can't do one without it impacting the other. And a lot of people think, oh, I can just focus on my systems and procedures first without realizing how much it impacts every single one of those.
And that is deadly. Segue. It's deadly. We're going to illustrate this with a couple of stories because I think stories are the best way. So we have a client that came to us. She's been working now with us 3 years, maybe 4. Her name's Melanie. She's a book marketing strategist and has also now gone on to open a independent publishing side of her business. And so when she first came to us, she was only offering bespoke marketing strategy for nonfiction authors, right? But prior to working with us, she was offering, quote, marketing strategy to entrepreneurs in an agency model. And not only was that so broad, it was confusing to her best clients who identify as authors, not entrepreneurs. And it was also just helping her not, it was hindering her from getting the traction that she wanted in her business. So once I dove in with her and we figured out what was going on, we actually started Melanie in our expand method at the X, which is the X-ray vision. Now, Amy just told you the reason that we built this method the way we have is you don't have to go through every single part. There may be parts that are working, but maybe the systems and procedures are broken in one particular part, right? So in Melanie's case, we started out with her X-ray vision. We dove into where she wanted to be 3 years from when we started working with her. And we laid out her 3-year vivid vision, which then impacted every other piece in her business, right? Her messaging changed, her offers changed, her lead generation changed. And finally, she got rid of the agency model, which was driving her nuts. And that meant her team structure changed. All right. Now, if Melanie had only gone to work with someone for, I need to work on my systems and processes, she would have developed systems and procedures and processes for a business model that no longer existed. She would have developed lead gen that was irrelevant, and she would have a team plan that was not necessary.
Yeah. It makes me feel good that we could prevent that from happening and we didn't have to unpack and undo all those things if Melanie would have dove into systems and processes. And I'm glad we prevented Melanie to do this, but that's not what often happens. And when people are stepping into an expansion phase of their business, they start tweaking too many things at once, then the results are just devastating or spread too thin or they make no sense. And a lot of times we see people losing revenue, they're partnering with the wrong team, and they're changing a business model that isn't working very well, which that was the case in everything that we just described about Melanie. And so if Melanie would have gone off and like done what she thought she should have done on her own without a sounding board, I would be really interested to see if Melanie is even in business anymore. And so we share this story because I think it's really important for you to partner with someone. And if it's someone like us, growth strategists and consultants who really understand the need to expand your business, but making sure that we dive into a few areas of the expand method, because we know it's going to create that ripple effect. You can't just focus on the X array without thinking about the D of delegate. So we really want to make sure that we think about this in a more fluid approach. And sadly, most business coaches, when you partner with them, they will just take you for what you say you need and not really see that bigger version of what you need. And so instead of actually like taking the time to understand what's working well, what needs improved based on where you're wanting to grow, most coaches will just have this watered down approach, and they may have an expand method, but it's like you have to follow the E, the X, the P, the A, the N, the D in order. And again, we don't believe that. We believe it's very fluid. And so I just want to make sure that we pause, that we think through that, because I don't want you to be wasting your time, your money, your energy, solving problems that may not even be problems to begin with, because that's devastating to your business. It's devastating to your confidence, and it's devastated to your momentum.
Absolutely. And we ran a CEO focus day this week with our collaborator and friend, Brianne Dick. And one of the things that she kept telling the CEOs, which this particular focus day was focusing on scaling their services without losing the results of their clients, is that, there were a couple of really great takeaways from there, but I think the one that applies here is that we are good at solving some problems in our business. And so we create the same problems so we can solve the problems that we know how to solve. And then we're ignoring the problems that are actually slowing everything down because we either don't see them, we would call that a blind spot or a gap, or we see them and it's not so fun to solve that problem. So we just put our blinders on. Oh, I've been there. I love solving marketing problems. Amy's got her blinders on, y'all. If you could see her, she looks like a horse. Her blinders up. So, a big question I want to ask everyone listening today is, are you really good at solving the same problem over and over again? That's not bad, except it's not helping you grow because there's other problems that you may not know are problems or you're just avoiding them. All right. But let's go back to Melanie for a minute. Let's do an update. So 3.5 years later, she's still working with me one-on-one. She is making more money than she ever thought possible each month. And instead of working with lots of clients, she's working with a handful of clients whom she loves. Her team is made up of just 2 people, herself and her VA. We got rid of all the agency model stuff that was driving her nuts. Right. And she recently finished up an on-demand course that will be released because we realized she really loves to work more in a group setting than one-on-one. So that course has been being released over the last 6 or 8 months. She's created flexibility in her schedule. She has a spa day. She has a 4-day work week. She starts work later so she can get her kids off to school. And she's able to continue increasing her impact with nonfiction offers without taking on more one-on-one clients, right? And this is brilliant. This is brilliant at its best, right? She went to Bora Bora. One of the things she told me is, my husband and I are going to be celebrating a milestone anniversary, and I want to go to Bora Bora. And not only do I want to go to Bora Bora, I want to go to Bora Bora and not take a Zoom call and not do an email in Bora Bora. And so I said, all right, let's get to work. And that actually happened. And I remember she messaged me when she got back, audio message on Facebook. And she said, I feel like the CEO I always knew I could be. I didn't work 1 minute when I was there. I didn't check emails. I didn't need to do anything. Everything was taken care of, right? So I want you to remember that a lot of times people think expanding means more expenses, more team, more, when actually Amy and I love to say more is not better, better is better. And I can't tell you the amount of clients who have come in that we've drastically reduced their team and their expenses. And we've worked on systems and processes, and we've worked on all the things we've talked about in this series. And they are happy little clams going to Bora Bora or their local lake in a boat or whatever they're doing, right? You've got to work with somebody who understands all the pieces going on in the business so that you don't break stuff that's actually working.
Yeah. Or so you can 10% better what's working.
Yeah. 10% better yields great results in your bank account and sleep account. I love sleep, y'all, in case you don't know. My sleep score last night was 98%. I got 9 hours and 22 minutes of sleep. Amy's over here yawning her ass off today. Kept you awake last night.
Oh, we have cats that are they're so fun sometimes. So fun. I forgot to put out food when we went to bed, so there was no overnight hard food available, and somebody woke up at 3 a.m. very upset and vocal, running through my house meowing. So I am a little dragon, but usually not this tired. And actually, speaking of tired, Shane, I want to tell one more story about someone that we've used the expand method with, and it's our friend Joan. And the reason why I think of her being tired is because I remember when we first started working with her, she was tired. Like, she was not sleeping. She was worried all the time, worried about her family, worried about her business, worried about the next steps, worried about where she was going. Like there was just so many layers of worry that Joan was wearing on her sleeve. And I think there's a couple things that I want to highlight because we've worked with Joan for 4 years now. And where it really started out was her business structure. She was maxed out. She couldn't accept any more clients unless she stayed up 24 hours serving them. And so we really had to think of a different, more aligned, joyful way for her to work. And we had to get really creative with this. And she kind of had her finger on what she wanted to do, but she just wasn't for sure how to move the pieces so that she could actually do that and go to get some sleep and go to bed. And once we really looked at it together, figured out what she could shift, what she could move, and how this would not add more hours to her day so she could get some sleep, this actually resulted in a revenue increase of 170%. And Joan does numbers. I do not. So that is a number from Joan, from a numbers person. And the first thing that she really had to focus on was that D of the expand method. It was getting specialized, aligned team in place with proper onboarding that aligned with her brand values, but she had to get clear on those brand values because she was from the mindset of just hustle, 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 make money, make money, make money. And that is hard for someone to just buy on board and get on with. And so now she's got more time off than ever. She's been able to sleep more and stress less over her business as it continues to grow. She's empowered her team to really take the lead and own their own pieces of the business. And, you know, she doesn't have to worry as much. And she's such a different person. She's still a sweet person, don't get me wrong, but she is such a different person than when we first started working with her to now. And so when we focused on the two areas to completely transform everything, which was the business model and the help that she was getting, we had to think through her vivid vision. We really had to think through the numbers and making sure she was tracking the right numbers. We had to make sure that she had that energetic capacity to actually do this. And we slowed down some things and sped up other things so that we could move forward without putting Joan in the hospital. But it all really goes in fluid. And so after year one of that 170% growth, year two, she was on track to triple her last 12 months of income in the first 6 months of year two that we worked with her. Year three, she decided she wanted to shift and grow and become a speaker. And so she was able to get away and speak on stages. So she and I sat in an apartment in Old Town Alexandria and wrote her signature speech. And she was giving this last year on podcast. She was giving it on stages. And this is our 4th year with Joan, and I can't wait to see what kind of changes and grows, but we always go back to that expand method and utilize those pieces so that we can continue to make sure that we're expanding Joan in the right way so that she's not ever back to that worry and that burnout ever again.
Yeah. I've loved watching Joan grow and morph, and there have been times it has been very, very painful.
Yeah.
She has a lot of responsibility. She's got some young children. Her husband has a brain injury, so she's also a primary caretaker, and she loves horses. So she spends a lot of time, as she can. And this was one of her goals. Like her goal was to be able to ride her horses more and spend more time with them. And it's been fun. It's been fun to watch her, but there have been times it's been painful. We've cried alongside of her. We've let her scream and yell on retreat, right? Because she had no safe space to do it with kids and being a caretaker of her husband. So y'all, it's not always glorious,
No.
but it sure is better when you've got the right people guiding you and helping you, and who will let you scream and cry when you need to and stomp your feet, and then we'll pick you back up again. And we'll get back to the expand method. Because that's what we do. So if you take nothing else away from this episode, please remember that when you're ready to expand, you must take into account the entire scope of what is happening in your business. Everything is connected. The E, the X, the P, the A, the N, the D, and the systems and the processes go all in all of those parts. And it's so important that you choose to work with somebody who really understands at the depth of what we've covered in this season. Because so many small business owners just lose their joy when it's time to expand. And I know this because I spent so much time here. And when I figured it out, not only has this business grown year after year after year, but also we have this beautiful framework now. So all my pain was for your gain, y'all. All my pain was for your gain. We have a beautiful business expansion scorecard. You can hop over and take it, see which of the 8 pillars of business you may have blind spots around or where your gaps are. That's at Joyful Business Revolution /scorecard. And Amy, I can't believe it, but we're getting ready to wrap a whole nother season.
Oh, so our next episode is the final one of the season, and Shannon's actually interviewing one of the most brilliant brand strategists we know, and she's going to really share how to align your brand with you, your audience, and your mission. So we'll see you next time.
Adios,
Bye-bye.
everyone.